Hello, and welcome to Intuitive Clarifications with Natasha. And what that means is that I am intuitive and I love to bring clarifications for you. So with that it's one of those things that I like to do to support you in your life's walk. And if I trigger something in you, remembering that your truth is your truth. Hello, Veronica. Thank you for being here. And, it's one of those things that we're all going through some things. And this is a perspective I like to bring. And so going forward, that if you are in the middle of a lot of things that are happening to you that are triggering you, maybe this conversation can help you because we're just going through so much right now. We're going through a lot. And I know that what I might bring up may not be happening in your life, but at the same time, though, it may in the future happen or it has happened in the past. And this is a way to integrate in what has been going on. So, with that, we've all had something that has happened over the last. Hello, Paula. Thank you for being here. That, it's like opening up, that, we've had these big openings lately of our world. And, this has been, like I keep saying this has been happening since probably, when 1900s turned into the 2000s, right? And so we've been coming through these major shifts and changes, but right now it seems like it's one after another, after another, after another. Like tomorrow, Thursday, what is that, the 4th, it's a powerful full moon. And like I've heard from many people, I'm not an astrologer, but I've heard from other people that this type of moon is not going to be happening for another 14 years. So this is one of those things. And we just went through, the 1111 portal, and then, through the end of, Thanksgiving. And I don't know if you through before Thanksgiving and then in the United States here, and through the story that, that last week of November here, that I don't know for you, but I was so dizzy during that time. And, and it was an amazing thing that I knew it wasn't my vertigo. It was part of my downloads, uploads, knowing loads, whatever it was that you want to call it. And part of that was being dizzy. And, during that time, and I'm still negotiating this, but as I was walking, I would see all these different dimensions and realities, because that's part of my upgrade is that, it's that next layer of understanding. And so being intuitive, and if you're intuitive, you probably really felt something different, right? And it was one of those things. And I know for me, the veil even got so thin, and it's still thin. It's still so thin. And in that veil, if you see things out of the corner of your eyes, guess what? They're real, right? I had to actually clear out my house because I had all of a sudden this like deep oil smell, and my husband was even thrown off by it because it was that oil smell that only people that work in junkyards or really deep mechanic work, kind of like rear end, doing the rear ends and that big axle work, where that deep oil work is. And it's something that seeps into your hands. It's kind of like somebody who works around fish. They smell like fish all the time. And it's that it gets seeped into, well, that's the smell we've smelled. And I was like, okay, what's this? And I was tapping in going, who's here? What's going on? I wasn't fearful. I was tapping into it. And then, later after we smelt it again, it was like, okay, honey, who do you know that works in mechanics? And, I was thinking my family, because my family drove truck and that kind of stuff. So they were always doing mechanic work, but they weren't always doing that kind of mechanic work. And so it was like one of those things. And I just basically had to clear out the house. Thank you for your message. I don't know who you are. I kind of knew who I was, but sometimes we're all too close to we're all sometimes too close to the situation. And so it's kind of a little bit harder to get a sense of what, where, when, how, right? And so going into this, that, we have these moments where things are happening. And at the same time that I was having that go on here, I was having a friend who was asking me to clear her house. And then I had a client who was being sabotaged by some dark entities of witchery. And so having to help that situation. And so going into this, that, I call upon some different energies to help with that, different people to help with that. And, you know, going into this, this is a great time to have boundaries. Those boundaries that can really help us to negotiate. And I was just on Bree Gibbs, Dr. Bree Gibbs' um, show again, and she had audio problems. I apologize, you know. So, but it'll be on her YouTube, and then I'm going to put it on my community section, or you know, where I can make posts and stuff like that. So that's going to be on my. I'm going to get both my shows that I was on for her, and I'm going to be on in 2 weeks talking about what we're doing. But you know, that boundaries thing, because there is so much. Right now, we're in the dance of the darkness trying to take over the energies of the 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 blessings and the light and the knowings, right? And so going into this, that you know, it is about how do we can negotiate where we're at. And that's what I want to talk about today, is how do you create those boundaries? How do you create when you feel that darkness coming over you? How do you feel, how do you negotiate getting into these downloads, and you don't know what's happening to you because you're dizzy, and I didn't go to the doctor. I know the difference, and I've had vertigo and dizziness my whole life. So I know kind of what it is, you know, and so I just kind of walk with it, and I don't go to the doctor as much as I probably should, but yet I don't want to play that game of the doctors because they don't always know what I'm doing, because I'm a different person in the way of my negotiation. And I actually found a doctor who can appreciate my understandings. And, you know, so going into what we're doing is that, you know, if you've been really feeling like there's been other presences around you, well, yeah, Thanksgiving's going to do that. You know, because we got a lot of family around, and you know, it's the holiday season, so we're going to have a lot of spirit family around us. And but it's how if it makes you feel uncomfortable, like my girlfriend was saying, I don't want to be watched tonight, feeling like I'm going to be watched. Well, you know, there again is how can you get that? Well, like I was telling my client, you know, you got to get your fire on. You got to get that passion in you. You got to get the freaking frack out of my house, right? Or where I'm caretaking. And, you know, the bullying part of it, and it's almost, you got to bully that energy out if you are feeling like you don't want to negotiate what's happening. And so, you know, getting that, you know, get the frick out of my house. And like my girlfriend can't really smudge because it sets off fire detectors, but you can use bells, you can clap, you can use music, you can use the drum. You know, I have my my drum over here, you know, that you can drum, you know, the energy's out, and vibration is vibration. And so if you can't really necessarily smudge, you can do other things to help clear the energies. And part of it is your own energy, walking around saying, get the frick out of my house, and taking ownership. A lot of us are so passive about it where we live, and we take down our guard, and that's where people that energy's piggyback. Now, for me, I want to make this clear, an entity is not always necessarily a bad thing. Okay. You know, like sometimes we have the entity of anger, like if somebody's been angry. Sometimes we can have the entity of frustration. We can have the entity of too happy. You know, we're extremely too happy. We can have the entity, and then you get into other entities, right? That are more about, you know, somebody who's passed, somebody who is in that energy. I've seen dark things in somebody's house where it kind of goes phew down, you know, because it's the portal to darkness. And, you know, there's clearings and then there's clearings, right? And so going into this, that there's different levels of understanding, and most of us are just dealing with emotional based entities, and or loved ones, or somebody who was walked through because it's a happy thing that we can be, you know, that energy of happiness and support and blessings. And so, you know, we're all in the midst of this type of thing, but we're going to start getting a sense of that more. And like today I was doing Bree's show, and all of a sudden there's a deer that walks, and I can literally see her. I mean, I can see almost the fur on her body because she was so close. And we were talking about how to negotiate and being calm in the midst of big storms. Perfect representation of the deer, right? And so that deer sense is what we're doing. And, you know, we are in the midst of these big shifts and changes. And this world is not going to be what we think it is. 2026 is going to be a year that if you've done your work in 2025, you're going to have a better 2026. If you didn't do your work, it's going to be a ride. Now, it's going to be a ride anyways, but you're going to have the tools. You're going to have these understandings. You've practiced a lot in 2025 to get to 2026 and 2027. Okay. Because it's going to be a big one. Next year is the year of the horse, right? It's the year, the fire horse, actually. So get your fire on. Get passionate about things. Get passionate about what you have. Get passion, but yet don't burn yourself out with fire, because fire, once the stick is done, it cannot be anymore. So you don't necessarily want to get your fire on where it has to be going 24/7, but it's enough to get things kicked going. You know, you want to kick yourself going. Does that make sense? And, you know, being who we are and doing what we're doing, we're all human. And so, you know, that's one thing that there for a little while, it's like I was falling asleep on the couch at 6 o'clock, and I'm more of a night person. And then there's other nights I couldn't go to sleep till 1. So rest when you can, do what you can do, because that's part of this, is that it is about being who you are and what you're doing. And, you know, a lot of us just need a break, and yet we're not going to get really a break. Now, I'm getting a sense energetically when I said that we're going to get a break for about 10 days after the new year. There's going to be some calm before the storm. And then we're going to start getting into some of the other energies that are coming in. And then around the solstice, or is it the equinox? The equinox in April, that there's going to be another big shift coming in. We're going to have a lot of people who are going to be wanting to leave this planet because the energies are going to be pretty thick. And so going into this, that it's a moment where we got to believe that we're safe, you know, and that's half of working with the energies. That it's like sitting in this room in the middle of where I'm at, doing what I'm doing, I'm actually safe, right? And so if you can really believe that you are safe where you're at, that's a lot of it. Now, there's going to be times where things are going to happen. Volcano going off somewhere, right? Or there's a moment of embracement of just things shifting up, you know, like when you get that sense that you need to, let's say, you know, buy groceries, and you're like, I just bought groceries. Well, buy some of the staples. Buy your staples, and make sure you have enough flour, enough sugar, enough all these different things so you can make more things. So if you get a feeling that you need to do something, do it, because enough of us are intuitive to get the feeling of what we need to do. Don't go into panic. That's the first off. Do not go into panic. Panic will just bring in a different reality. But it's just about being proactive right now, right? It's about being proactive, but we need to rest. So when you get a chance to sleep or rest or take a nap, take a nap. If your body calls for it, take it. There's enough people getting sick out there, right? The sickness that is out there. You know, I wanted to tap in this house. My husband got it pretty good. I'm getting it just a little bit. Yeah, but I'm telling myself I'm healthy. So please don't tell yourself I'm not going to be sick. I'm healthy. I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am healthy. I am healthy. I am healthy. I am healthy. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I'm healthy. Now that's one thing that I've been doing a lot, is my tuning fork, right? And you know, breaking up, making sure that phlegm gets broken up, and staying away from dairy. People don't really realize how much chocolate has dairy in it, or other type of dairy things that are causing things that, you know, get more phlegmy, right? So if you're feeling on the side of things are trying to get you, double up on your zinc and your C and other vitamins, and D, magnesium. I'm flushing my liver as I'm talking. You know, it's like, do these things that help your body process through. And you know what I've been using, which, oh my gosh, I can almost feel it doing what it's doing. I've been using castor oil, the good stuff. You want it hemp, that edge hemp free and all that kind of stuff in a black, dark glass bottle. But I've been putting it up and over um, my nose and across my under my eyes and up around on my forehead and then down through my neck and that kind of thing. And that what's been happening is I can almost feel the pressure being taken off. And we have beds. My husband wanted to get new beds, and so we spent the money and got the ones that go up a little bit. And just sleeping at that little bit of an elevated helps everything just flush through. Take sea salt baths too. Helps a lot. So, how are you guys feeling about things? What is some of your experiences that you've had of late that tells you that you're getting a download? Because I know for me that when I was like feeling like my body was getting pretty full of the downloads, I was like going, what is going on? I went to the chiropractor. But before that, I went, you know what? I haven't really integrated in my downloads. I haven't used the words, I'm integrating my downloads. Oh, let them come around me. Let them be with me. Let me see them. Let me know them. Let me trust them. Let me trust them. Just like us trusting the computer updates or the phone updates. I had a couple phone updates. I couldn't help but not have them. Manipulation there, but at the same time though, the security thing. So, we have to update our realities. And that's the only way our body is going to negotiate it. So if you're finding that something is not vibrating with your body right now, let's say drinks or coffee or sugar or even a vegetable that's not aligning with you anymore, that's where, you got to really believe that our body is not necessarily negotiating what is. And that's the thing is that things that feel good in the fall don't always feel good in the summer. And so you might need to change up things, like people who eat a lot of salads. Well, salads are more of a summer meal. The body wants to go in that summer meal. Most of us are coming from the northern regions of our countries, and they are more about the different seasons, the potatoes. Like I've been eating a lot of sweet potatoes lately. It's that root vegetable and, the balance of a lot of that kind of thing. So going into this, that I'm going to now flip the conversation over about how when you're integrating in things that, say the words, I'm integrating into the knowings and feel them kind of come washing over you. And, wiggle your toes while you're doing it because your toes are part of your negotiation, right? And so coming into that story, and like today, I was walking around outside and, it's, in the 40s, cold cement, though it's been raining most of the day, but I was barefoot because that's what I want to get was a little bit more grounded in my understanding. And so when you are in the middle of a lot of these different upgrades, you want to be as grounded as you can. I went dancing one night, matter of fact. Get that ability to trust the process. And then like for me being so dizzy, I really had to very much, here I am in this reality, in this knowing, and I'm safe. So don't take those quick jaunts out of the parking lot. Do things more slowly, more relaxed. When we're not feeling quite centered in ourselves, right? Do those things slowly. I was watching a video, and like she said, is your life worth 30 seconds? Is your life worth 30 seconds? Do I have to hurry up and get out of traffic because I'm late? Or is my life worth 30 seconds? And I thought that was a really good point. Is my life worth 30 seconds? So going into this, that it is about slowing down and trusting the reality that you're in right now, because it's very important to trust that reality. Going from one thing to another to another to another is not going to be the easiest for us all to do, right? So when you are in the middle of negotiating some darkness, remembering that it is about being empowered. Get the frick out and be growly about it. Have you ever heard a mother bear protecting her young or a wolf protecting her young? Ooh, that growl comes from down deep. Get your dragon on, right? We all have dragons. We're all part of the dragon clan. But get your dragon on. Get that fire in you, because that's that passion that we need to have coming into this new reality. And coming into this, remembering that as we're coming into this new understanding in 2026, that it is about taking a break and resting the body. Like I was saying, if your body needs to rest and you have the time, rest. If you don't have the time, you may have to just tell your body, I will go to sleep a little earlier, or I'll sleep in the next morning, right? Because we're in the middle of a lot of this stuff, and this fall time, this fall season, we're very human as we're going through it, and there's a lot of grief in this story. Not being able to have, like Veronica, you're not going to have your mom and dad around this year, and I'm sorry to hear that. With them moving cross country. Paula, the way that you've moved away from your family, well, you'll create more family where you're at, right? That you've been doing. So we're all in the midst of this separation feel. And I know for me that, I'm going to be going to Florida, but at the same time, though, I'm grateful that we're going to go there, but I'll be missing my home too and doing just the normal thing. But yet the normal thing hasn't been normal for all these years, because family has been family and family hasn't been family because family is gone, right? So grief is part of that story. And the Christmas lights are so important right now with the light. And so if you can, remembering as we're getting into this winter time, and some of us have more light than others. I know up in the Northwest here, we don't have as much light. And so I've been talking to certain people about how I have the selenite lights, like the selenite lights of uh, and let's see if I can find my picture here. I just sent a picture to my friend here. There we go. So this is one of my selenite lights. It's in a dark corner, right? It's in a dark corner, but it brings out a lot of glow. And so if you're struggling with darkness right now, that it's about honoring and do what we need to be. And so coming into who we are and what we're doing, it's about time that we really take care of ourselves. So if you are feeling like you need to be protected from some of this darkness, now remembering protection can mean that you shadow yourself. So like for me, who wants to help others do their spiritual work, and that QR code is a part of my my website, link to my website. And so if you need a link to my website, there's that. I've done a little bit updating. I've changed up my language, and you might have noticed that on my YouTube channel, that it's about bringing out your soulful bravery and the courage for your next step. Because we're coming into a time where the courage of the next step is part of this dance. And so, we're in the middle of a lot of these things. So if you're feeling like you need to protect yourself from something that is around you, remember, you can put up a bubble. You can put up a bubble of protection, and you got to believe it. You got to believe it. So it's almost like if you, almost like, when they tent houses for termites, you can ask for that kind of protection. You can ask for, let's say, a wall. Boom. Like I have an energetic wall that kind of goes across my property here because there's a cemetery on the other side. And negotiate that over there, because I don't want that to come here. And so I've put up a energetic glass wall because I want people to be able to see that I can support them, but at the same time I want it to where that energy cannot come through. But you have to believe it's there. Now, sometimes darkness does still get through, but that's where you get your fire on, and you tell them, get the crap out of here. So also another thing that can happen is that we're in the middle of doing some deep work. Like I've had a client who had I'm not going to name details, but has had some darkness that has been triggering with her. And so I gave her some tools on how to negotiate that, and then called in some DTs to help. So when you are in the middle of these upgrades and these up knowings and doing these different things, that it's about aligning yourself with them, right? You don't want to fight them. You want to align with them. And I guess me not wanting to update my phone was showing how much I was kind of in, I guess, I'm not going with the flow of the upgrades. Well, I'm going to mirror that and say, okay, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Because we're all in the, having to be where we're at and what we're doing. There's something that wanted to come out right now about a card reading here. I'm listening. Woo! So Raven popped out. Raven just popped out, calling to me. And so Raven is about magic, coincidences, synchronistic events. We're coming into what you think may appear. So if you're afraid of something, quit pulling it to you. Don't think about it. Disrupt the disruptor. I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe, I'm safe. I'm good, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. I believe, I believe, I believe I'm good. I believe I'm good, I believe I'm good. You got to disrupt the disruptor. And so Raven really wants to do it. So let me read Raven. That will be number 10. So the Raven. When Raven appears, it's a sign of magic, where coincidence and divine synchronistic brings surprising elements together. The Raven reminds you that on a path of wholeness, with magic of Avalon appears, and all things become possible. Ask the Raven to help you be aware of the synchronistic in your life, to see how the goddess works anonymously on your path. If you feel hopeless or lost, you may need reminding that this kind of magic occurs in your life daily. Even if you cannot see it, trust it and bring it joy, understanding, and fulfillment to your life, no matter what is present in the circumstances appear to be. Remember, Raven says, believe in magic and you cannot help but see it. Magic lives within the beliefs itself. Experience the unexpected and appear to be amazed. I have a pair visit every morning and caw until I respond good morning. Isn't that magical? I used to have a crow that I would be running late for not late for the bus, but running to the bus when I was a kid, and it would sit on the wire and go. But Raven has always been, and Crow has always been part of my story, and I didn't really realize how much, this lasted almost 2 months until its cycle of where it needed to move to was there. So, Raven is a huge magic. It's the balance between, the black bird and the light when it flies around in the light. And so, very magic, wonderful magic, wonderful magic to appear for you. So I'm going to channel a little bit earlier. Well, no, I guess it's 30, isn't it? After I wrote my thing this morning, sorry, yesterday was a very busy day, that Mikhail wanted to come through. I haven't channeled Mikhail lately, and Mikhail wanted to come through. And, him being the star beings, and he might tell us a little bit what to expect and where to go. But he wants to come in and channel. So channeling is one of those things. If you don't believe what I'm channeling, that's okay. I don't really care. Listen to the words, listen to the message. That's more important to me. And just know that no matter where you're at and what you're doing, life is happening. And him being the star being, because he's part of the Council of the Councils. He's not what Bashar is, but yet he's in that kind of same category. So, I don't know what message he's going to have. Okay. Now, remembering he does not see or the messages or anything like that, and so he will just speak. And then I'll pull a couple of oracle cards afterwards. Not too sure. I have to get to a meeting, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. I might just do one oracle card for everybody. Hello, lovelies. You've been through a lot on this planet, and it's really time for you to believe that you have the power within you to be the one who can create your own magic. You are all conductors of the understanding, the conduction of the balance. You are all part of the connection of the being. Like right now, you see a lot of Christmas lights out there, and one is linked to the other, which is linked to another, which is linked to another. That is what you humans are. You are all part of this connection between one thing to another, to be balance of what it is. So as you go into who you are and what you are doing, it is time for you to believe that there is the experience of your planet. Do not worry about many of the volcanoes on your planet. They are all expressing in different places because they are needing to express in different places. The Mother Earth is going through her change to be in this new understanding. And so some of these older stagnations are needing to move forward. And that's why some of these volcanoes are blowing their top, as you want to call it. And so when you are, I know the one that is near this dear one's house is going to be good. It's going to be good for a very long time because Miss Baker, she loves herself. She thinks she's pretty sexy. So going with that, and actually, some of these volcanoes that are now more on the dormant side, like Rainier and Baker, and some of the twin sisters, as they're called, they are home to the star beings and us family members. And yes, I am a star collector of knowers and doers to help this world move into a new understanding. So as you are in your new aspect of yourself, remembering that 2026 on this planet, which is not necessarily 2026, but it is on the Gregorian calendar, that you are in the part of moving into this new evolution of who you are. That now remembering that you have been seeing us more and more in the skies, because yes, cameras can catch it, yes, other things can catch it. Thing is, though, we've been here the whole time. The governments have been upgrading their flying machines to match a lot of ours, and we are working in more unison. The thing about some of the beings that are in charge of these governments have gotten out of line of ego. That is going to be shifting soon. We are in need of some new understandings on this planet. So see some of these new governments that have been set up for the darkness to lead will be shifting into more light-based story. Now, that doesn't mean that religion will be right. It doesn't mean that personality will be right, but it will be out of more into the light than the darkness. So please do not get stuck on the words. Don't get stuck on the story. Remembering that as you are moving into these different worlds of Earth, that it is about understanding, oh, well, that looks interesting. I bet that's in another reality. Right? Oh, look at over there, that conversation. Oh, that news. What reality is that in? Oh, I don't need to be in that reality. So then it's up to you to stop watching the news, which will stop you pulling you into that reality, whatever you do not want. So if you're wanting to be in another reality, remember it is as moving over to your shoulder, right shoulder, instead of your left shoulder. So as you are in your understanding, it's about believing in who you are instead of what has happened to you. You are all part of this creational balance. And the more that you sit on one side compared to the other side, you're going to notice there's going to be a tipping that direction. It will take some time. It will take some energy. You will notice the switch coming forward the first part of 2026. The end of 2026, you will get more of a sense of what will be happening. As you go into your knowings of life, we want you to believe in you, who you are and what you're doing. It is good that this wonderful woman has said, put your fire on, because that is important. Be proactive in your life, be understanding in your life to negotiate where you're at. And oh, I love that word that she says. So go into this understanding of blessings. You have blessings. You always have miracles. You always have this story. You always have this ability. But remembering when you want to get out of a reality, shift it over just a little. Shift it over, just like stepping half step over. That's another reality that might be a little bit more gentle. You still have to deal with some people and some things of the 3D world because of the experience of the lesson of the moment that was needing you to push up you into another reality. So if you can glean from other people, if you can understand from other people that that is their journey, not yours. That doesn't mean that you still don't have to cook dinner, eat dinner. That doesn't mean that you don't have to go to bed. That doesn't mean that you don't have to drive, or if you choose not to drive, that you have other ways of getting around, right? We will be not going back to the horse and carriage for a very long time on this planet, even though in one dimension, 2 dimensions, maybe 30 dimensions, there is the horse and carriage scenario because it's in a different timeline. The Gregorian calendar is mainly set in many lifetimes because it is part of the ripple effect of the change. The Mayans knew, other people knew, but they could not hold that timeline because of the 3D understanding, that deeper understanding was needing to happen on this planet, the lower vibration, as some people would say. So go forward in who you are, do what you're doing, and believe. It is really time for you to believe in the light and love. If you have a negative moment, be the negative moment for a moment. A negative moment for a moment. Understand the grief, understand your story, understand your emotions, be with them, love them, care for them, and then move on. Do not stay in victimhood in this reality because this will make a big difference in your story. We are only victims because we choose to be victims, not because we are victims. That does not mean, though, that you don't have to have boundaries around this dear one left and went inside for a few minutes to help out with certain things in the house while her husband was having a grumpy moment outside. She came back outside and he was better. Give people a chance to breathe and they will breathe. Give people a chance to know and they will know. Give people a chance to understand and they will understand. It may take them longer to understand than others. It may take them time to realize what they need to know longer than others, but it's time for you to trust that process. I am Mikkel. I am part of the Star Being Council who is helping this planet move forward, and it's time for you to believe in you. It is time for the magic of this ending of the 9 year to the 1 year, and that is no mistake. Namaste. thank you all. I hope that was help. He's way out there. So it takes me a minute. It takes me a minute. So looking at the time I have, it was going to be a busy day. I had a show I was on, this show, and 2 meetings that I have to get to. So it's a busy Wednesday. You know who wants to come out? Dragon wants to come out. Okay. So you're more than welcome, Veronica. Thank you, everybody who's here tonight. I hope this is helpful. I hope that you've been riding the ride of these energies more graceful than others. And that's the thing, is ask for grace and ease. Do not be stingy about that. Always ask for grace and ease. Okay, dragons, what do you want to say to everybody? Woo! Balance. Oh, isn't balance beautiful? You know what? This symbol here, the yin yang symbol. Oh my gosh, I have had that almost imprinted on the imprint of my brain lately. It has been so imprinted. Whew. The symbol, the dark and the light, and the light and the dark, and then there's light and dark and light. And it doesn't matter which side. Darkness can be on top of the symbol. It depends on how you put it. So balance. So that is 1. Balance. Number 1. Oh, isn't that cool? The number is 1. Next year is a 1 year. We're in a 3-month right now of 2025. 26 will be a 1 year, and the 1 with starting of a 2 month. So January plus 1 is 1 plus 1 is 2. So balance. What you are experiencing in your life now is transformational. This dragon, balance, depicts aspects of us as a whole, our light, our shadow side. As humans, we show the world our many different sides, for we are manifested and can change from situation to situation. These aspects could include our compassion, frustration, love, irritation, joy, and so on. His appearance in your spread is to remind you that everything is perfect, and even if the situation you find yourself in is pushing your buttons. Balance says, fear and frustration only serve one purpose, and that is to disempower. Life on earth is all about achieving a personal equilibrium, seeing things as for what they are, balancing your daily activities and demands with time to laugh and play. You run the risk of becoming too serious and caught up in the dramas that are unfolding in your life now by not allowing yourself to play. You can call upon my energy and wisdom to guide you to be more balanced in how you view or feel about your situation. You cannot have darkness without light and sun without the moons. Do you need to learn to say no, or to look at your personal boundaries? Are you being crossed? too often, maybe you should say yes to things which altogether they make you fearful. Will assist you in your personal spiritual growth. Remember that what you are experiencing in your life now, it is transformational. It will not last forever. This life, this this, like much of life, is a phase, a lesson, and this too shall pass. If you find yourself in a perplexing situation, ask for wisdom to be bestowed upon you. Balance will guide you to understanding, to know in your heart what you can do, or or indeed if you need to do anything at all. Sometimes all that is required is patience. So, yes, this is a general card, and I feel like, so balance. Balance. It is, life is what it is. And sometimes we need to find that balance. I know a lot of people right now are going through a lot of old patterns, things that come up in them. Like my girlfriend had an accident with her kids, and that reminded me of my accident when I was a kid. Somebody else had another experience, and it reminded me of my ex-husband. It's like we've had these things that are coming up to help clear out some of this old energy. It may happen, like there was something that experienced that happened at Thanksgiving, and my gut just said, I'm done with that story, and cleared out a lot of trauma in my gut. So going into this, find balance. Be your empowered self in the middle of being in balance. I'm Natasha Venter. The link to my website is on the show here, and if you're listening later, you will not see that QR code, but yet you can go to my YouTube channel, Natasha Venter IC, or you can go to my website, Natasha Venter intuitiveclarifications.com. If you Google me, Natasha Venter, you will find me. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for your wisdom, and I so appreciate you. I will be here next week. I don't know yet. Regan was not feeling good, so I'm going to see if he wants to come a week early, because the week before Christmas, and I'm giving you a heads up, the week before Christmas, in between Christmas and New Year's, I will be not here, so I'm not going to be doing my show. I'm going to take a week off. So thank you so much. Hi, Dee Dee. Thank you very much for being here and remembering that you're empowered. It's time for us to show our power. Sometimes we need to sleep to do it. Balance, right? Balance. Blessed be to you. Have a good night, and may you find grace, ease, love, and light. Bye now.